So this is the last video in our Bringing Birdsong Home series. This is the last bit of the Trent that we had to do. I say bit, I think it's about 23 miles from Torksey to Kidby. Wasn't such a nice day as we'd had for the trip from Cromwell to Torksey. It was quite windy, which caused a few problems I think for Neil, and it was quite choppy, as you can see. There were quite a few waves and stuff, but all in all it wasn't too bad. Managed to avoid all the sandbanks and what have you, so wasn't too bad at all, but it was quite a cold day really. We had to set off at 6:30 in the morning because of the tide, and I think for part of the way Neil was giving it quite a bit of throttle because, you know, he wanted to sort of get there as quickly as we could, and after a while the engine overheated slightly, so he dropped the revs back. We ran some hot water inside the boat and that brought the temperature down, so then he was just going at normal cruising speed after that, and we didn't have any further problems. It didn't overheat again, so I think just trying to rush it a bit too much really. So as I say, it was quite an overcast day, quite windy and cold, so it seemed to take longer than it did actually, I think. But when we came to this bit, seeing this bridge here was quite a welcome sight. This is the M180 bridge that runs from Scunthorpe to, well, to just beyond Thorn actually. This is a bridge that Neil used to come over every day going to work. He won't be any longer because obviously we don't live in the same place now, but it was a brand new experience going under it. We've been over it thousands of times probably, but never seen it from this angle, so it was quite interesting for us really, and it also meant we knew we were getting closer to where we want to be. And then the next bridge we came to is quite iconic in the area really. It's Kidby Bridge. It used to be a lift bridge, but as it got a bit older, I think in the 50s or 60s, it was constantly getting stuck in the open position, so it was blocking traffic and things, and in the end they welded it shut, which actually completely changed the area, because now what it means, the big ship that you can see in front of us, they come up the Trent from the sea and the Humber. They have to unload there because they can't get under Kidby Bridge, and then a fleet of lorries just takes all the stuff round to the other side where it's loaded back onto ships. This now though is the end of the Trent for us. What you can see just beyond the crane is the lock keeper's tower. It's quite difficult to see where the lock is at Kidby. It's actually where the white line is, but right until you're sort of on top of it, you can't actually see that there's an opening. And generally you would go past it and then turn around and come back up against the tide, but the tide had already turned by the time we got here, so the lock keeper that we'd been in touch with said just come straight in. So Neil sort of came at it, didn't get it quite right the first time and just touched the edge, so he just backed it off a bit, came back in, and no problem at all the second time. So you just, as you pull in, the lock keeper drops a rope with an eye on the end, so you can take a rope up front and rear, just so you can sort of hold yourself steady. He loops it around a bollard and gives you the end back, and you just hold yourself steady while the lock fills. As you can see, there is water pouring into it all the time, and once he shuts the gates at the back and opens paddles, it fills faster and you go up. So you can see this is just the amount of water coming in before the paddles are open. So that's what it's like all the time, and we had to wait for another narrowboat to come in before he shut the gates. Gates are now shut though. There's another narrowboat at the side of us that you can't see, and it's filling up so that we can go up onto the Stainforth and Kidby Canal, which is actually our home canal. It's where our marina is situated. So here we are back on the Stainforth and Kidby, quite weedy as you can see. We did actually pass a CRT boat gathering up the weed and dumping it on the side while we were there, so I think they are trying to control it, but not having much success by the looks of it. You might have just seen that train that's just gone over. This is, and another one there. This is the Vazon sliding railway bridge. I think it's the only one in the world that's still working, and what it does, you can see it sliding out of the way now. The railway tracks are on that, and it just pulls it back into a recess on the other side. Then when you've gone through, pulleys and cogs and things just send it back, and then right after that there's a swing bridge, and there are no more locks until we get home. But this length of canal does seem to have an awful lot of swing bridges, and they're all different. You think, oh yeah, that's it, we know how to operate this one. You get to the next one and it's completely different. And don't drivers love waiting for boats to go through? No, not really. But anyway, we finally made it. This was as we were coming into the marina. We knew exactly where we were going to berth, so we've moored up. That will be it for a few days now, although we will be taking it out after the weekend, so I hope you'll follow us on that trip. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe to the channel to see where we go next, and also to see what alterations we're making to the boat. Thank you for watching.